Guys, don't go to Skinwalker Ranch. It was the worst mistake of my life. That place is so much worse than they say it is. It's not a tourist attraction. I'm just gonna tell you what happened. I happened to be in Arizona last month and I had a layover flight in Utah for like a full day before I got to come back home. And one of my best friends happened to be in Utah doing interviews for his residency. So we happened to be in the state at the same time and we thought, I mean, like, when's the next time we're going to be here? What's a fun thing we could do here? We didn't really know what to do. And we're like, oh, you know, it'd be a fun bit if we went to go check out Skinwalker Ranch. It would be funny, it would be cool. And we weren't really there to look at Skinwalker Ranch. I didn't think anything of Skinwalker Ranch. I've seen that History Channel show. It looks like a bunch of quacks. It looks silly. We went there for fun because we know there's military bases there and we were poking around. Oh, maybe we'll see a B-2 stealth bomber fly overhead or like some F-22s. We know that there's like Hill Air Force Base over there. We were there to have fun, maybe see some military stuff. We really weren't there so much for Skinwalker Ranch. We just wanted to pull up, take a picture, then maybe go somewhere else. Just enjoy Utah for what it was. But when we pulled up there, you know, initially the place doesn't look like anything. It's mundane, it's dull, everything's the same color. They don't really tell you how to get to Skinwalker Ranch on the map, but realistically there's so many like private property trespassing signs. They basically have a breadcrumb trail that's like leading you to the front gate. Like we knew we were close when we started seeing all of these signs that eventually led to this front gate. So we pull our car over about like maybe like an eighth of a mile past the front gate, throw on the hazards, and we just are walking the line of the front gate, like the line of the gate to the front gate. The only weird thing that we saw, which in hindsight was a bit weird, was there was like posts outside of the gates that were like wrapped in animal skins and like looked like animal intestines, but they were just like dried out by the sun. They seemed man-made. They seemed like they were there to make the lore feel like actually spooky, but for us, we're just like, that's just kind of gross. Whatever. We walk past them and we get to the front gate, and the front gate has like an iconic kind of look to it, and we're like, all right, let's just grab a pic so we could say like, look, we were at Skinwalker Ranch together, and then we're gonna drive somewhere else and maybe go on a hike or like look for some B-2 stealth bombers in the sky, whatever, boys stuff. We're like, all right, let's take this pic, and I put my water bottle on the floor and I put my phone up, and then I do that little timer thing on your phone. I don't know why I put it for like 10 seconds, just because I felt like I needed time to backpedal and get into a good pose with my friend. But this is where it gets really weird. Like, so I put on that 10-second timer, I backpedal. You know, we're a little bit worried that maybe somebody's gonna come out and scold us, but we weren't really thinking about cars driving by. But as I hit this timer, I'm backpedaling, there's a car coming from the left to the right. We're like, all right, let's just hope it drives by. Let's just get this pic. Let's get out of here. We're not really trying to ruffle any feathers. We know people work here. Like, we're being annoying tourists, but we're not trying. We'll leave, you know? Right as this car pulls up, this timer's like at like 7 seconds, 6 seconds, and a black Chevy Tahoe pulls up to like right in front of my phone. Of course, as we're taking a picture here, big ass black car filled with men in suits. And immediately they're just like, you're trespassing, you can't be here. You could tell that they deal with this all the time. And me and my friend, we just have this timer. We're like, let's just wait a second. Let's let this 3 seconds count down. Let's get this picture. And I give them the most like, hold on, just give us 1 second. Clearly we're taking a picture. This is where everything gets weird, and I can't explain it, and I'm trying to deal with it, and I'm trying to rationalize it to myself and make sense of it. Once the flash went off, like the timer went off for my phone and for the picture, it felt like we entered a soundproof room. Like all of the wind and the sounds of like crackling leaves and just like the sounds of nature and like desert and ranch, it felt like we just entered a soundproof room, like somebody plucked the sound away from us. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this. Sometimes like some heightened level of cortisol, maybe this happens, where it kind of feels like you get super hyper aware and like your eyes almost like crank up a little bit, like the saturation cranked up a little bit and the vibrance, everything seemed like it got a little bit more color and a little bit sharper, and it really freaked me out that I couldn't hear, and all my vision seemed to be tweaked a little bit. I didn't know if I was the only one feeling it. I didn't know if I was having an anxiety attack or a panic attack. And I look at my friend Sam, and I could see that he's in shock too, like he's feeling it too, and then he's looking at the other guys, and then I look at the dudes that had just pulled up, and they're feeling it too. They're looking at us like, what is happening right now? What is going on? So before it was like a shoo, get off our property thing, like you annoying tourists, and now we're sitting in a situation where we're looking at these guys and they're looking at us like, are you feeling this the same way we're feeling this? And then I see their eyes shoot over to the gate, and Sam nudges me, and I turn. Everything is still just so heightened and so weird, and I look inside of this gate onto the ranch, and there's this like glowing blue orb. That's the only way I could explain it. There's just this glowing blue orb, and it doesn't have any imperfections, and it's just, you can't tell what part is the front and the back, and it's just floating about eye level inside of the gate. It had no indications of what was the front of the back, but I could almost tell by its like slight movements that it was like looking at the other guys, and then it like almost mechanical, and then I could tell it was looking at us, and I'm just looking at this thing floating. There was about the size of a beach ball, but everything in me, it was like it pulled fear from my heart. Every part of my being was scared. I didn't know what I was looking at. It looked so unnatural and so foreign from anything I've ever seen. It moved like nothing, and then it just kind of rattled and just shot up into the sky. If you blinked, you wouldn't have seen it shoot up. It just like a projectile. But it wasn't like a projectile. It wasn't like a rocket. It almost zipped, like, you know the difference between like a muscle car or like a sports car, and then like a Tesla that just zips and makes no sound. It just shot up into the sky, it zipped, and then it just kind of made an arching pattern and just kind of disappeared. It was one of those experiences that, to be honest, I would never have said anything about, but me and Sam probably would have been like, that was weird, blue orb, Skinwalker Ranch, that was sick, let's go home, whatever. But it was the fact that these other guys were with us that made this an issue, because we look back at them, I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, if it was just me and Sam, we're just getting in the car, we're leaving. These guys are celebrating. They're celebrating like that was the best thing that ever happened to them. They were just acting like serious, get off our property, dead serious businessmen or whatever they are. And now they're like jumping around and cheering and celebrating. And we don't know how to react to this. These are grown men acting like that situation was amazing. I just wait until they start to engage with us, and just one of the dudes is like, he comes up to us with the weirdest energy, just saying things like, that was amazing, wasn't it? That was awesome. We knew activity happened when newcomers came, but we've never seen anything like that. They never let us come that close. And he's like talking to us as if that experience that we just had was some type of blessing. And then he starts like pressing us, like, you saw it too, like please, like, come in, like, give us testimony. And he's like trying to get us to come with him, to give him testimony about what just happened. And I'm just weirded out by this guy in general. Sam came to a different conclusion than I did, because Sam replied before I did. He just basically said, and I wasn't expecting him to come from this angle whatsoever. Sam goes, I want to keep our country's secrets. Whatever you need us to sign, whatever we need to do for us to go home, I want our country's secrets to stay safe. Tell us what we need to do. He thinks that these dudes are military. And I'm like, that actually kind of makes sense. And what we just saw might have been military grade equipment that we were not supposed to see, but we saw it. And these dudes are playing buddy, trying to get us to come with them because they're gonna, who knows? But Sam is basically offering, like, we didn't see anything. Whatever you need us to sign to keep our country's secrets a secret, we're willing to do so as long as we could leave. But this dude is just, keeps making it seem like he's pumped. He's absolutely reassuring us that he's just a scientist. His team is all scientists. They're just on this ranch to do research. And it gets to the point where he's so eccentric and he's so just excited about it and reassuring that he's not military and what we saw has nothing to do with the military, that we kind of calmed down. Even though what we just saw was so bizarre and a story you probably wouldn't tell anybody without looking like an absolute weirdo, this guy convinced us that what we saw was pretty cool in the moment, and he was doing research on the ranch, and that this would be really important for us to come and just give our eyewitness testimony for what they were doing. Then he started offering us things like, just come on, I'll give you a tour of the ranch. You guys could like pop around yourselves. We'll give you a golf cart. He was so overly friendly that in that moment, when you kind of feel like you're half in trouble, while you just experienced something that was so bizarre that like you just don't know what to think or believe, you're kind of in a malleable state, like people could influence you. And he had been here. He told us that he lived there and like he was always studying there, and then that was the most amazing thing he'd seen, and he just wanted us to come on to give a testimony. We could have a tour and we could leave. Everything in me wishes I didn't get into that Tahoe and go onto that ranch. Once I closed that door, he seemed so friendly, but it just got weird once we were in the car. He was just going over what happened in such a theatrical way, as if he was like rehearsing the story that just happened to us right then, as if he was rehearsing it to tell other people, and he was like kind of exaggerating it already, and he just seemed a little bit off. And I wish we had gotten out of the car before that gate closed, because once that gate closed, he just looked back. I'll never forget this. This dude just said something along the lines of, if I were you guys, I would never leave. And this man meant it because he actively tried to not let us leave.